Hello everybody, my name is Revan and welcome back to another video. So remember how Darth Maul got cut down by Obi-Wan in the Phantom Menace? So we all know, eventually, in Season 3 of the Clone Wars, Maul did survive, but how was this possible? Getting cut in half is something that pretty much everybody could not survive from, so it begs the question, how did Maul survive? If you look at Qui-Gon, he got impaled by Maul's lightsaber, and yet he died. Maul got cut in half. How did he survive? In this video, I'm going to go over how Maul survived, and the events that led up to when Savage Opress found him on Lothal Minor. In short, Maul got cut down by Obi-Wan in the Phantom Menace and fell down the reactor shaft. This was a very long drop, and eventually, Maul reached out with the Force to a vent on the side of the reactor shaft, which led them to a dump container on Naboo. The only reason Maul was able to survive having half his body and vital organs cut off was legitimately the dark side of the Force. He fueled his hatred and his anger to such an insane degree that he legitimately couldn't die. It basically forced his body to continue to live. The phrase, Palpatine tells Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, comes to mind.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
How this is even possible, even with the dark side of the Force, is kind of beyond me, but this is how he was said to survive his injuries. In the dump container at the end of the reactor shaft, Maul was transported onto a garbage ship, which was taking trash to the garbage dump planet of Lothal Minor. On this ship, Maul was insanely close to dying, and for logical reasons. Half of his body was gone, he was losing all of his blood, and vital organs were either gone or sliced in half. In short, Maul was in a very bad predicament. It was at this moment that Maul used all of his teachings and became one with the dark side of the Force. He was able to do this by focusing all of his energy on one thing: hatred. Hatred of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was not only this, however, as his knowledge of Night Sister magic also aided in his survival. This allowed him to survive until and when he was on the planet of Lothal Minor. Now, if you don't know what Lothal Minor is, Lothal Minor served as one of the junkyard planets of the galaxy, and it was basically a dump for all the galaxy. The entire galaxy would basically put their trash onto ships, and they would fly them to these worlds and basically just dump them. They became entirely junk. Lots of salvagers would go on them, and sometimes primitive species like the Jawas would form up, and that would be basically it for the entire planet. Lothal Minor, for example, it was like other junkyard planets. The notable example being Raxus Prime from the Force Unleashed video game. If we've seen Raxus Prime, then you can get a good idea what Lothal Minor is. We also see it in the Clone Wars. Anyways, back to the original point. On Lothal Minor, Maul did everything he could to survive. He miraculously constructed, with the use of the Force and Night Sister magic, a set of spider legs from the scattered junk of the planet. So this apparatus had like 6 limbs that allowed him to walk, as well as give him the speed to be fast enough to catch prey. They were crude and they were inefficient, but they worked. It has not been explained how this would be possible, nor how he was able to urinate or defecate in these. I know, it's not a question to have, but when you think about it logically, how is that even possible? Again, it's those plot holes Star Wars has. It's like Darth Vader, how did he pee or poop? Like, you don't know. Eventually, Maul decided it was best to go underground and build a set of catacombs where he housed his lair. It was here where he met an anacondan by the name of Morley, who made a deal with Maul to protect him from the world's inhabitants in exchange for providing Maul with food. Morley would get the leftovers of said food.
You make a good offering, and when my master is finished with you, I get the leftovers.
During this time, Maul was in exile. He had no contact with the outside galaxy, nor anyone sentient yet on the planet. Well, at least other than Morley. It was at this time that a droid scavenger ship captain by the name of Spikewheel found out about Maul and picked up a transmission offering a reward in the capture of Maul. Spikewheel forced his crew, a group of aliens and human scavengers, off his ship in order to test them with the goal of capturing Maul. The most notable of these scavengers was a Nikito by the name of Brits. After their drop-off, a confrontation broke out between Brits and another crew member named Brennar. During this confrontation, the ground broke apart under the crew's feet and dropped them into Maul's labyrinth of catacombs connected to his lair. The crew got their footing and started to explore the catacombs. One of the crew members named Selise got separated from the group. Brenner went looking for him. To his horror, Brenner saw Selise captured by Maul. Maul then proceeded to throw Selise at Brenner and they were chased by Maul through the catacombs. Unfortunately for them, they reached a dead end and Maul was about to just brutally kill them when Grits captured Maul with an electro net. They took Maul back to the surface where Spike Wheel was waiting. They then proceeded to board Spike Wheel's ship. It was then where Grits and Spike Wheel revealed to the group that they had been hired to capture Maul. They then decided to replay their message from the person that hired them until they realized that the person that hired them was Maul himself. Maul then revealed it was him who hired them, and the reason he did this was because he needed a ship to escape Lawful Minor. This resulted in Spike Wheel attempting to kill Maul, which failed, with Maul destroying her. Control of the ship was fought over. Selise panicked and attempted to gain control of the ship, which shot it into orbit. While this was happening, the other crew member, Ricky, opened the cargo doors of the ship, which let everything in the cargo bay fall out. This included Maul and Grits. After they fell back to the surface, Maul brutally killed Grits as Ricky and Selise left the planet. Life went back to what it was for Maul, and eventually the isolation and hatred for Obi-Wan drove him to complete madness. Maul started to lose his memory as well, only remembering like bits and pieces of his past life, but even through the madness, Maul remained driven with the goal of hatred and revenge against Obi-Wan Kenobi. This then leads us to the Clone Wars and the eventual reuniting of Maul and his brother Savage Opress. The reason Mother Talzin knew Maul was alive was because of his use of shadow magic, the magic the Night Sisters and Talzin used. It was a connection to all Night Sisters and Night Brothers that had ever lived. Not only this, but Talzin always keeps tabs on her offspring, no matter where they are in the galaxy, and a notable example of this would be Asajj Ventress. But the rest we know. Savage uses a talisman that Mother Talzin gave him to locate Maul, and the rest of the story plays out in the Clone Wars TV series. Alright, that's it for this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing, as it helps me out so much. But as always, you don't have to. Regardless, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.